Club 40 Audio presents The Rehearsal Club Review, Part 1.
Come on, Bernie. Move the ladder a little closer to the wall so I can get a hold of it.
If I move it any closer to the wall, it will be on the other side of it.
Got it. Here, hold this. Just go ahead and pull it down. That pine bunting is only held on with a few pieces of adhesive tape. It should come down easy enough now.
Right. I just wish Daddy could have made it till Christmas. He always loved the holidays.
I wish my father were here right now. It was always his responsibility to take down the decorations. He made it look so easy. Those long arms of his. I'm gonna go get the mistletoe next. Ah, me. Another year, another wasted mistletoe.
I don't know why you even bothered to hang that thing. As if Mrs. Minerva would ever let a boy pass the main lobby, let alone up the stairs and into one of the rooms.
A girl can dream, can't she?
Yes, but that's all you seem to do. Dream about boys day and night. I don't suppose there's a boy in the country over the age of 18 you haven't dreamed about. You'd probably make a fool of yourself over John Foster Dulles if he glanced at you.
What's wrong with JFD? I think he's kind of cute.
It's so cold out there. If you were to spit, it would be ice before it touched the ground.
Bernie, could you help me out and put these few things in the icebox?
Sure, if one of you would hold the ladder for Nancy.
No need. That's the last of the high ones. The rest of the Christmas decorations are down here with us.
Would you help me with my coat, please?
Sure. Why, Jean, no wonder you're so cold. This isn't a coat. It's barely more than a spring jacket.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It most certainly is not. This wouldn't keep you warm in a movie theater, let alone out in a Manhattan wind.
What did you girls stop to pick up?
Oh, just a few essentials, like we agreed.
I don't know why you waste money on extra food like that. The club gives us 3 squares a day. I don't see why you would need much more than that.
Well, that may be good enough for you, but some of us need something to munch on once in a while.
Some of us apparently need it more than others.
I heard that.
We'll make them easy to you, Joyce, but I'll have you know that I have to work very hard to stay trim. And for your information, I'm down a size and a half, so I'm probably not much bigger than you.
And you've done a good job of it, too. But that's the way it is around here. Every girl has got to be almost exactly the same as any other. Can't be too tall, or you'll embarrass the leading man.
Can't be too short, unless you always want to get stuck as the kid's sister.
Can't be too loud, or you'll drown out the lead.
Can't be too hefty, or they'll say you have no sex appeal.
You have to fit into their little cookie cutter, or you are no good for anything, except maybe the chorus.
That's something I've been wanting to talk to you girls about.
Cookies?
Hardy har.
All of us being the same?
Yes, well, no, sort of. I had an idea. We need something to make us stand out at auditions.
Bernie, everyone's trying to stand out at an audition. That's why no one does.
Well, I was thinking, maybe what we need is just the right dress.
What good is a dress going to do?
Well, if it's the right color and flatters our figures properly, who knows? We could get the part.
The only way to get a part is to have an agent. And the only way to get an agent is to be in something. Every time you talk to an agent, if you can talk to an agent, it's, well, tell me what show you're in so I can come out and see you in something. And if you aren't in a show already, they don't want anything to do with you. It's a regular catch-22.
Yeah.
Come on, girls, don't get down. I really think if we got our money together and bought a community audition dress, we'd really have a shot. What do you say?
Why don't you just go and get your own dress, if you think it's such a great idea?
To get a really nice one like we'd need is out of my price range. But if we all went in together, I think we could get something that would be a knockout.
You went down to the store a few weeks ago and bought that black and white coat that looks like unborn linoleum, and that had to be about $20.
That was different. Nanny, that is, my grandmother, she sent me that $20 just so I could get a warm winter coat. I never needed one back in Los Angeles.
I think we should do it. What can it hurt? We're only different by a couple inches here and there. We might just find the perfect dress.
I'll make you a deal, Bernie. We'll all go in together, pick out this mythical dress, if all of us will also contribute to getting Jean a new winter coat, so she doesn't become a popsicle waiting in line outside for an audition.
No, Barbara, that's not necessary. I'm fine, really.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm actually getting a little excited about this. Just think, we could find something like no one's ever seen before.
Well, it's got to have long
How
sleeves.
fancy is it going
and
to
the
be?
neckline can't be any
How much
lower
is it
than
going
that,
to
don't
cost?
you
Maybe I
think?
can wear it out on a date, but I promise I would bring it
can't
back.
wait
I
to
mean,
see
it's
it.
fine. I wouldn't get anything spilled on it. I'm really, really graceful. It's totally fine.
Oh, great.
No, you can't use it for that. Auditions only.
Red is a great color on me, and you guys too.
Oh no, red's everyone's red.
Everybody uses
We
red.
don't advertise
This
what we
dress
don't
is going
sell.
to be
Right,
so
Nancy?
pretty.
That costs double for you.
I hate to intrude upon you, ladies, but might one inquire as to what had gotten all of you so excited?
We were just discussing a new dress we were planning to get Mrs. Minerva.
A new dress. How marvelous.
Yes, Miss Minerva. It's going to be a community dress that we can all wear for auditions.
Isn't that wonderful? Perhaps in addition to a new dress, you were thinking of a few accessories that could go along with it. This, for instance. I found this lying about on the second floor. Does anyone know who it belongs to?
That wouldn't be any of ours, Mrs. Minerva. It looks like a man's belt.
That's exactly what it is, Joyce. Well done. You go to the head of the class. Now, one must ask themselves the question, what is a man's belt doing on the second floor of a girls' tenement house where boys are strictly forbidden? Is someone performing in a new production of Annie Gets Your Gun? Or perhaps one of you will be joining Mary Martin as a pirate or lost boy in Peter Pan? No? Then perhaps a better question is, which girl living in a very nice building at an extraordinarily generous rate of $18 a month plus board can't follow the rules? Why is it asking too much for that girl to obey a few simple regulations meant for her own safety? That girl would do very well to consider that this boarding house is supported by a panel of very well-to-do and morally upstanding women. Any girl who cannot adhere to a few simple rules will be replaced by one of the thousands of waiting girls who can. Now, to whom does this belong?
I haven't had a boyfriend for nearly 6 months.
I haven't even hardly
I've
been here in the
working
last
at the
few
tea shop
weeks.
as a
My
head
boyfriend
checker.
was
had a
out of
couple of
town,
dates, nothing you could
and
call
I have to
a
travel
boyfriend.
I've had
nearly 30
auditions
miles
the
just
last
to
few
see him
nights.
once a month.
Not that I've
He's
gotten
a
any
great
far.
Certainly
guy.
no one worth the trouble of trying to sneak in here.
Well, I hope for your sakes that you are all telling the truth, because, as the good book says, be sure your sins will find you out. And when they do, the board will be selecting a new girl to be interviewed and take your place at this fine establishment. Is that clearly understood?
Yes, Mrs. Minerva.
Well then, as long as that is the case, I expect to see you all downstairs dressed for dinner. Chef should have the meal prepared by then.
Thank you, Mrs. Minerva.
Oh, never in all my days. The absolute gall of a boy in my house.
Why is everybody looking at me?
It figures. We spend all that money for Jean to get a new coat, and what happens? The warmest January in the history of New York.
Personally, I love rainy days. I've always found them to be good luck.
How can a rainy day be good luck? You can't go anywhere or do anything. If you do have an audition, you have to stand in it getting soaked, waiting for them to open the doors.
Well then, that might drive the less motivated people to go home. And you get the part instead of them. See? Good luck.
What are you reading, Bernie?
Oh, nothing much. Latest issue of Vanity Fair. Not really reading so much as browsing.
Hey there, cats and kittens. Wasn't that a great song by Louis Armstrong? I tell you, all these years later, and he's still got it. All right, let's hit you up with something new. It's that smash hit song from Broadway's biggest hit, Once a Year Day. You're listening to today's hits and yesterday's favorites on WSKID.
Well, what do you think about that? I was just looking at an ad for the pajama game here in the magazine, and that song comes on.
There's nothing surprising about that. There's advertisements for that show everywhere. Songs, magazines, billboards.
Eddie Foy Jr.
Who?
Eddie Foy Jr. He's a comedian. He's been in a bunch of movies. Even played his own father in Yankee Doodle Dandy with Jimmy Cagney.
What about him?
He's in Pajama Game. Says so right here. Well, I had a friend back in Hollywood, Ralphie. He worked as an extra most of the time. Did a couple of movies with Eddie, and he told him if he ever needed a favor to look him up. Eddie Foy Jr. is a heck of a swell guy. That's what he said.
Don't let Mrs. Minerva hear you talking like that.
Well, that is what he said.
So what do you think? You're going to go backstage after the show and ask Eddie for a job?
That is exactly what I'm going to do.
What?
I'm going to the theater and ask Mr. Foy if he can help me get a job. The worst he can do is say no.
They won't let you near him. He's a big name. Maybe not Cary Grant, but he's a big name nonetheless.
Has anybody got the audition dress out at the moment?
I just put it back last night. It's dry cleaned and ready to go.
Honestly, Bernie, you're going to have the dress dry cleaned after you wear it, and it's going to be a whole $2 for absolutely nothing. Never mind, you're going to have to pay for a taxi cab and walk there in the rain.
So let's call this my once a year day. Everyone's entitled to be wild, be a child, be a goof, raise the roof once a year.
If she sings like that for Mr. Foy, the only place she'll be singing near that theater will be the backstage door with the alley cats.
You think she might actually have a chance?
You miss 100% of the chances you don't take.
Who said that?
Me, just now.
Well, this is it. The St. James Theater stage door. As big as life and twice as beautiful. What am I thinking? There's no way they're even gonna let me in, let alone speak to Mr. Foy. I've gotta act like I'm supposed to be here, like this was already prearranged. Yeah. I am here to see Mr. Foy. Get out of my way. No. Why, Mr. Foy and I go way back. Knew him in Hollywood. Didn't you see me in the pictures with him? Oh, no, though. Just ask which ones. Should have looked up a couple movies before I came. Hi, Eddie. No. All right, just do it. Whatever happens, happens. Besides, I can't show my face at the rehearsal club again if I don't at least go in and make a go of it. It's open. I can't believe they left it unlocked. Curtain call. The cast will be coming back here any second. Oh, please let me have the right words.
Hey, you there.
Oh, no. Not now.
Hey, I'm talking to you.
What, me?
Of course you. There isn't anyone else back here. Everyone else is out on stage. Even the stage crew.
Well, I'm not a part of the cast.
I know that. Why do you think I asked you what you were doing back here if I didn't think you were part of the show? So what are you doing here?
Well, I'm here. I'm here to see Mr. Foy.
Foy? We ain't got no Foy around here.
Well, I'm sure you do. His name is on all the advertisements. Eddie Foy Jr.
Oh, you mean Eddie? Yeah, okay, he's here. What do you want from him?
Well,
Hey, Eddie! There's a young lady over here, says she knows you. You want to talk to her, or should I give her the boot?
All right, I'll talk to her, but stick nearby, Pops.
You're the boss, Eddie.
Well, hello there, young lady. What can I do for you? In spite of what Pop said, I don't believe I know you.
Mr. Foy, I'm sorry about what he said. I never said that I knew you personally. I didn't have a chance to say anything one way or the other. That man Pops, I guess he just assumed that I knew you. But of course we'd never met, although you did work with a friend of mine who was an extra in a few of your movies. And when he played an Irish cop, do you remember him? Well, he said that you were a really swell guy who would be willing to do a favor for anybody. And well, Mr. Foy, I came here all the way out from Hollywood and left behind my sister, my nana, my daddy. Well, he died less than a month after I made him here, and I couldn't go back for the funeral. I'm sure you don't care about that so much. It's just I've been trying really hard to get into a show here in New York, but I can't get into a show unless I've got an agent. And if I'm not in a show, no agents will even talk to me unless they see me in something. So is there anything you could do to help me get in a show or maybe get an agent?
Easy, kid, easy. Slow down before you hurt yourself. You could give Danny Kaye a run for his money with that speed-talking bit you just gave me.
Oh, sorry.
Nothing to worry about. Just take it down to a slow trot so I can keep up. Now, you say you want to get into a show. Can you sing?
Oh, yes. With a little practice, I could sing just about anything. I'm pretty loud.
Uh-huh. Can you dance?
Well, I can jitterbug for sure.
Well, I could probably get you an audition as a chorus replacement.
That would be great.
Can you read music?
Not really, but I can learn.
You can't dance. You can't sing. You can't read music. Well, then what?
Well, since I'm not good enough for the chorus, I guess I would have to have a lead role.
That's good, kid. That's real good. You're all right. Look, there's not a whole heck of a lot I can do for you personally at the moment, but, wait, hey, Pops, you want to get me a piece of paper and a pencil?
Sure, Eddie.
Look, I'm going to give you the name of my agent, Roger Atkinson.
Here you go, Eddie.
Thanks. Okay, now, look, kid. I don't know what he's going to be able to do for you, if anything. There's no guarantees. But, if anyone in this town can get you anywhere, it's old Roger. I'll give him a phone call and tell him to expect to hear from you. But don't try it until afternoon tomorrow. I usually sleep in till then, and he won't be expecting you otherwise. And his secretary will likely throw you out on your keister. Here's his number. If he says you got something, then you're on your way.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Foy. Really appreciate it.
Eddie, all my friends call me Eddie. Call me Mr. Foy to Roger, and he'll think you're a liar. No more of this Mr. Foy stuff, you got it?
Yes, sir. Well, thanks, Eddie.
You got it, kid. Good luck. Hey, Pops, what did I tell you about leaving all these pajamas laying around back here?
Excuse me?
Yeah?
I'm here to see Mr. Roger Atkinson.
What for?
I'm a friend of Eddie.
Eddie who?
Eddie Foy Jr. He's...
Never heard of him.
Isn't this Mr. Roger Atkinson's office?
Yeah?
Well, he's Mr. Foy's agent, and Mr. Foy said for me to come and see him. He said he would be calling ahead before noon, and...
Wasn't here at noon.
I'm sorry, what?
I wasn't here at noon. I always take my lunch from 11:30 to 12:30.
I see. Well, maybe Eddie spoke to Mr. Atkinson.
Who?
Roger Atkinson.
Oh, Mr. Roger. Well, Mr. Roger didn't say anything to me about it.
Could you ask him if anyone's called?
I suppose. Have a seat. He's on the phone now. I'll ask him when he gets off the line.
All right. Thanks. Could you see if he can see me?
I'm waiting for him to get off the telephone line.
He hung up nearly 15 minutes ago.
Oh, he did?
Yes, the light on the phone that indicates an active line has been off for quite some time now.
Oh, is that what that light means?
Yes. That's what it means with these multi-line phones.
Oh, I guess you learn something new every day.
So, are you gonna let him know I'm here?
Let who know?
Mr. Roger.
Who?
Mr. Roger Atkinson. Your boss.
Oh, Mr. Atkinson. Why didn't you say so? Who are you again?
My name is...
Mrs. Foster.
Yes.
Mrs. Foster.
I said yes. Who's speaking?
Mrs. Foster, are you out there?
Hello?
I think you need to push the button on the intercom to reply to him.
Reply to who?
Just push the button and say hello.
Oh, if you think you know so much, why don't you come here and do my job? Hello?
Yes, Mrs. Foster, is there...
Hello?
I've told you before, Mrs. Foster, not to push the button while I'm
Hello?
Yes, Mrs. Foster. Hello, this is...
Who is this?
Mrs. Foster.
No, I'm Mrs. Foster. Who are you?
Mrs. Foster, I was trying to ask you if there was anyone here to see me. I am expecting...
No, Mr. Roger. There's no one here.
Ahem.
Oh, I guess this lady would like to talk.
How long has she been sitting there?
I don't know. Probably about an hour, I guess.
An hour. I came back 30 minutes ago and there was no one here.
Excuse me, Mr. Atkinson. I've only been here about 20 minutes.
Are you the young lady Eddie called about?
Yes, sir. I spoke with Mr. Foy, I mean Eddie, last night, and he said to come and see you.
Sue, did I not tell you I was expecting a young lady who would most likely mention Eddie Foy, and that you were to inform me as soon as she arrived?
I don't know. Did you?
Miss, would you please come into my office? I'm sorry you had to wait so long.
It's all right.
Mrs. Foster, do you think you can handle letting me know if George Abbott calls? I'm expecting to hear from him about that fairy tale play.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, give me strength. Miss, do you know what it's like to spend nearly every day with a personal assistant who only remembers her own name because people shout at her occasionally?
She seems a little distracted.
Saying she's distracted is like saying the Great Chicago Fire was a minor inconvenience. I never would have hired her if I had a choice, and I certainly wouldn't keep her if she wasn't my wife's sister. So, miss.
Call me Bernie.
Okay, Bernie. Eddie said you were looking for an agent.
Yes, sir, I am.
Do you have a resume?
Yes, sir. You'll notice I also have reviews and letters of recommendation from my time at UCLA.
Good. Very good. What are you in at the moment?
Well, Mr. Atkinson...
Roger, we're all friends here.
Well, Roger, it's like I told Mr. Foy. I can't get an agent if I'm not in something, and no one will even see me for a show unless I have an agent to get in there and pitch for me. I just don't know how anyone's ever supposed to get a shot.
They're not supposed to.
I'm sorry?
They're not supposed to get a shot. That's kind of the whole point. Create a catch-22. No one can get in without the approval of someone who's already in. It's kind of like an exclusive club. You're too young to remember the real speakeasies. Let's just say that everyone wants to get behind the green door, Bernie, but only the ones who have a friend to get them in have a chance. Fortunately, Mr. Foy is a member in good standing, but I will need to see you in something before I can agree to represent you.
But I'm not in anything at the moment.
Well then, maybe you should put on a show yourself.
How's that?
You're probably too young to remember the stage show, if it even played in California. Did you ever see Babes in Arms with Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland? Any of those old Mickey and Judy films?
Sure, me and my Nana used to go to almost 10 movies a week back when I was a kid. We always loved them. Now, Summer Stock was pretty good too, but I wish Mickey had been in it.
Exactly, Summer Stock. Why don't you and your friends make like Mickey and Judy and put on your own show? You're living in, the Rehearsal Club down on 46th Street. That should be perfect. Get something together. Most of the old Cohan shows are pretty cheap to get the rights for. Or do your own show. I'm sure there's a couple of ladies who would do a show with you. Maybe even a couple of aspiring playwrights who could bang out a script.
Well, I guess we could. Maybe we could get together a few other agents to come out as well. I bet that might help some of the girls get work, too.
Bernie,
Yes?
if you pull the girls, I think you'll find you have almost everything you need. Call me when you get the show together. I promise I'll come. And maybe I'll put in a good word or two with a few other agents. No promises on representation, you understand. But at the very least, we'll come and see you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Roger. Thanks.
No problem. On your way out, ask Mrs. Foster if George Abbott has called yet.
The George Abbott? As in Pal Joey, Jumbo, On the Town, the Pajama Game, that George Abbott?
No, the George Abbott that runs Schmedrick's Delicatessen down in Flatbush. I asked him to let me know when the new canned corned beef comes in. That's a joke.
I thought it might be. Thanks again. Mr. Atkinson wanted me to remind you he's expecting a call from Mr. George Abbott.
Who's expecting a call from who?
Oh, brother.
So Mr. Atkinson, he says to me, well, I guess you and the girls at the rehearsal club should just put on your own show.
Oh, great. So it's all for nothing. Just like we knew it would be.
Joyce, are you kidding? This could be our big chance.
Don't you get it, Bernie? He's giving you the brush off. He had no intent of helping you. He put an idea in your head that he knew you couldn't pull off, made you feel good about it, and then gave you the broom.
I don't think so. I think it's a good idea. We can put on some old play, get a few girls to play some music for us, and we're in business.
You say that now, but if you look at some of the prices for the rights to put on even some of the old shows, they might be nothing for Mr. Atkinson. But even Cohen's 45 Minutes from Broadway costs nearly $50 a night for the rights to perform. And that's before the actual cost of the production. Then you gotta build sets, and make or buy costumes. And even if you make them, material still costs. And if we want agents to come and see us, we can't charge them to come to the shows. We won't be able to recoup a single dollar we spend on this thing.
And then theater. We can't just put this thing on here in the apartment. We have to have a venue.
As far as the show itself, who says we need a story? We could do a review. We can use a few public domain songs, maybe something original of Nancy's. She's a good songwriter. And then we don't really need to have a story. We could just do a couple of old vaudeville routines. Maybe Barbara could write us a couple of one-acts. And all that really matters is they see us do a few things. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare. Or maybe it could be. Most of his stuff is free.
All of Shakespeare is free. It's nearly 300 years old. They hadn't even invented the copyright when he was working.
There, you see? We could just throw a show together and call it the Rehearsal Club Review.
No one is ever going to want to see a show called the Rehearsal Club Review.
And we still don't have a theater.
Don't be so negative. We'll solve it one problem at a time, just like Mickey and Judy.
Who?
Never mind.
Nancy Millhaven?
What?
There is a young man downstairs waiting to see you. He is waiting outside because it is after sundown. And as you know, all young men must be outside of the building after sundown.
Yes, I know.
I can't help but notice that this is the 8th time you've been called on by a boy in the last 2 weeks, and not one of them have been the same boy.
Not to be contrary, but Bobby called on me 2 of those times. He's got a haircut, so I understand why you might...
That's not the point. It's quite unseemly for a young lady to be called on by so many men. It might set people to talking.
What's wrong with dating more than just one guy at the same time?
She didn't bring them inside. What business is it of yours? If you don't mind me asking.
I am merely looking out for the welfare of girls who dwell under the roof of this fine establishment. What you choose to do outside of it is, indeed, none of my business. But if it becomes a liability to this dormitory, I can assure you it will not continue.
Don't worry, sis. It won't affect your bottom line. Or your reputation.
See that it doesn't. And Bernie.
Yes, Mrs. Minerva.
Donald is also waiting outside to see you.
Oh, that's right, I forgot. We had a date tonight. Mrs. Minerva, could you please go tell him I'll be right down? I need to shower and change. I tell you, Donald, I don't think that woman had a single functioning brain cell.
I'll have to keep her in mind in case I ever get around to writing that play. She sounds like good comic relief.
Might be funny in a play, but it certainly wasn't dealing with her in real life.
Imagine how it is for poor Mr. Addison. You only had to deal with her for an hour or so. He has to deal with her every day and can't even fire her.
So, what do you think about it, Don?
I think I'd rather have a bullet in my brain.
Oh, no, not that harpy. The show. Me and the girls putting on a show.
I don't know, Bernie. It would take a lot to get something off the ground. Making sets, getting the girls together for music rehearsals. Even if you just have one woman on a piano for a band, which would look really cheap and shoddy, and that's the last thing you want to be. You'll need at least a 3-person band, then you'll need money for the theater. Something like that is going to cost you at least $300, and that could be per night. I don't know how you and the girls could get that together, especially when you are only working in an English tea shop 3 days a week. And in the end, you'll have done all that work just so this Adkinson can snub you because he had dinner that night with Liberace.
Well, if you have so little faith in me, we might as well forget it. I'll go back home to California.
Now, Bernie, you know I didn't say that.
You might as well have.
Hey now, come on, Bernie. You know no one has more faith in you and your talents than me.
Well, what would you know? You've only known me for less than a year. You could be wrong. Maybe I'm the worst thing ever. How would you know? You haven't seen me in anything except a couple chorus lines.
Well, I'm watching this performance, and I didn't even have to pay for it. I'd recommend hiding that little smirk you get at the corner of your mouth when you're pretending to have an overreaction. It's a dead giveaway.
Not overreacting. I'm very serious about this.
And there's that slight nose twitch you have when you know you're lying and not getting away with it.
All right, you've got me. But comments like that Liberace line are not helpful.
That's a pity. I thought it was some of my better work. Bernie, you know that if you're serious about giving this a try, I am with you 100%. I'll do everything I can to make it a success for you. I just don't want you to build your towers in the sky up on this one little thing and then be so totally devastated when they all come crashing down.
Oh, and when have I ever done anything like that?
Oh, I don't know. Every audition you've ever had. That one time Ann Landers came into a tea shop and you're so sure she would mention your next article.
She might have. It's not her fault she died the next week.
Oh, and then there was the time.
All right, I get it. I get what you're trying to say, Don, but I just feel it in my guts. This could be the beginning of something big.
Well, like I said, Bernie, I'm behind you all the way. I still don't know where you're going to get the money.
The money, yeah.
The story continues in Part 2. Be sure to subscribe to Club 40 Audio's YouTube channel to know when the next episode is released. Follow us on Twitter at Club 40 Audio. Be sure to visit us on Facebook. Check out our Tumblr feeds. Consider becoming a patron. And of course, all of our episodes are available to purchase and download at bandcamp.com. That's club40audio.bandcamp.com. The Rehearsal Club Review is a production of Club 40 Audio. All rights reserved.